for this talk with Chris today from Eastman. So Chris is originally from Durham, is that correct? So you're a North Carolina native, graduated from NC State 2015, bachelor's in electrical engineering, took advantage of some co-ops and internships, but we'll go through that later. We'll talk a little bit about that. And hired by Eastman Chemical as a plant engineer, and since then has grown a bit with the company. And today he is here to tell you a little bit more about himself and Eastman, and then we'll get to some questions, some alumni questions.
That sounds great. So yeah, just give you, like you said, my name is Chris Frazee. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, so I'm a North Carolina native. Graduated from NC State in 2015 with my electrical engineering degree. I hired in at Eastman as a plant engineer. So basically kind of what a plant engineer is we're kind of a jack of all trades. We do a little bit of everything. So, you know, we work with power, we work with control systems, we work with general design, estimation, project execution, troubleshooting day-to-day things. Anything you can kind of think of as a plant engineer, that's what we get to do. You know, I've been able to work at Eastman for 5.5 years now, and I've earned the title of Advanced Electrical Engineer there. They've had me work on lots of different projects, specialization of feed systems at Eastman, so I've gotten to travel around the U.S. I've also worked with a new DCS system installation in Kuantan, Malaysia. I worked with a Delta V system there and installing about 400 pieces of instrumentation. So I've had the chance to travel across the world as well with Eastman. So there's a little bit about myself. So if you want to, I can get in here with Eastman, about Eastman and what it has to offer. So here is Eastman, kind of our quote that we like to use is enhancing the quality of life in a material way. So basically we like to create materials that's going to help provide better things in our life on a day-to-day basis. So here's a little intro to Eastman. I have a little video here to watch. I guess let me know if you can't hear the volume in here. Well, doesn't want to work for me today. All right, well, I guess we won't see the little 2-minute intro video I have then. So a little bit about Eastman. We are celebrating 100 years at Eastman. So if you really think about it, I can't really think of that many companies that have been around for 100 years. So that kind of shows our long-term lasting abilities and how we're able to kind of change what we do to the market and how it is right now. Right now, we're trying to lead in a specialty chemical, as a specialty chemical company, and we're looking to innovate with new and different technology that we have. So we are a global industry leader. We are a Fortune 500 company with specialty materials that netted a revenue of $9.3 billion. We operate in 4 different business segments, which I'll get to and I'll show you here in a little bit. We have a global team of 14,500, and that kind of spans across North America. We work in South America, we work in Asia, work in Europe. So we really have ability to travel throughout the company if you want to go across seas or stay here in the U.S. as well. And currently we're serving customers over 100 countries. So right now, here's some of our awards that were presented at Eastman: the world's most ethical company to work at, the best employer for diversity in 2020, best places for the LGBTQA+ community as well. I know it doesn't say 2019 and 2020, but right now we are in the steps of achieving it, for trying to get it in 2021. And right now we're very friendly for military and best for vets, and we are responsible care. So we're very committed to safety and reaching out to our community in different type of ways. We usually work with United Way. That's one of our big ones that we work with, and Habitat for Humanity. So there's a few of our awards that we have. And here's some of those industries that I was talking about that we're leading in currently. So 2/3 of our sales revenues come from product lines in leading market positions, such as transportation, consumables, building and constructions, consumer medical, electronics, and then the animal crops. So kind of give you an idea of what all of those products are. So in transportation, we're working on lots of different tints that go into cars. And, you know, I talked about going to Malaysia. So that plant was one of our Cristex plants. So Cristex is a product that we use in different sorts of tires. So Michelin likes to use that. Consumables, so we make different types of performance yarns and filters, things like that. So filters that go in cigarettes or microfibers that go into types of clothing. So just an example, back in the Winter Olympics, when the USA was wearing their jumpsuits for skiing, that was actually our yarn that went into that. So that's pretty interesting, you know, to see that. Building and construction, so anything that's working on like tinting of windows that we have there, medical, consumer, so anything from your iPhone to your sunglasses to Vitamix blenders, we're helping to build plastics towards that. One of the biggest things at Eastman is safety for us. We choose to act safe so we can make a better life for everyone around us. When you work in a chemical company, it can be very dangerous from time to time. Lots of different chemicals to work with, lots of moving parts, lots of big machinery. So safety is our #1 initiative when designing anything. We don't care what the cost is or how long it's going to take. We want it to be safe for anyone that's going to be there so everyone can go home safe every single day. And just like Mark Cox says here, safety and wellness are core Eastman values, never just prioritized to be juggled on a day-to-day basis. We expect our team members to approach all that we do with a zero incident mindset, to practice the right behaviors and to make personal choices that they'll live better and longer. One thing that Eastman is really trying to drive home right now is inclusion and diversity, because that is very critical to Eastman's success. You can't have diversity without inclusion. I'm a big proprietor of that. At Eastman, it is our responsibility to create a safe environment for people to share and contribute and do their best work each and every day. That's why we were committed to creating a powerful, diverse workforce and broadly inclusive workplace where everyone can contribute fully and feel a sense of belonging, enabling Eastman to win in the workplace and the marketplace. Innovation needs diversity because diversity creates potential. Eastman employees are diverse and talented individuals. We define diversity broadly inclusive age, background, education, gender identity, geographic location, nationality, race, religion, sexual orientation, working and thinking styles. So with this being said, with the inclusion and diversity, what Eastman's really trying to work on as well is ERGs. So those are Eastman resource groups, which currently we have 5 at Eastman. So Catalyst, which is more towards women in engineering. We have the Connect, which is for our African American and Black community. Equality, which is for the LGBTQA+ community. Our EVETS, which is for our military vets, and our Mosaic, which is our Latino and Hispanic community. And also don't think that just you have to be a woman that just goes into the Catalyst one. These ERGs are open to everybody, and everyone can join them because there's a lot of information that we really do need to learn. And for those that don't know kind of what an ERG is, it's just a formal network of employees organized around a dimension of diversity that serve as a resource group for group members and the company. ERGs are open to anyone, like I said, anywhere, so you don't have to identify with a particular dimension of diversity to be in an ERG. The purpose of an ERG is to identify and build strategies to help identify and remove real and perceived barriers to success. So kind of about where Eastman is at. We're in Kingsport, Tennessee. That's our main headquarters. And then our next biggest facility is over in Longview, Texas. So kind of where Kingsport's at, it's in the top northeast corner of Tennessee. It's, like I said, it's our largest site. The Tri-Cities is kind of what we call it. So that'd be Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol, Tennessee. The approximate population is about 500,000. We're less than 100 miles away from 15 state parks in 4 states. We're near 5 national parks 6 different TVA lakes. And we're within a day's drive of about 70% of the U.S. population. So, you know, if you wanted to go back to Raleigh, if you wanted to go out to Cincinnati, we're very close to those areas. And also, I mean, a big up thing to Tennessee, it's a no income state tax place, so you get more money on your paycheck. And just kind of here's a geographical of Kingsport, and like I was saying, we're really within a drive of everywhere if you really think about it. So, you know, I like to go back home and see my family back in North Carolina, so it's only a 4.5-hour drive for me, so it's really not that far. And big city-wise, I mean, we have Knoxville, Tennessee, we have Asheville, North Carolina. They're within an hour of us. And, you know, if people like to do Dollywood's only an hour away from us. So there's lots of different things near Kingsport. So kind of the biggest thing about interning or co-op is we do have spring and fall terms. We usually bring around 30 or 40 students in for that. For the summer term, though, we approximately bring about 150 students in. We're here to drive social and professional networking. And Eastman is they have a really big home life and work balance. So our work schedules are very flexible. Just to give you an idea, I work 4 9s and a 4. So every Friday, I'm out of the office by 11 a.m. So that's kind of nice. It's like I have a 3-day weekend every weekend. Eastman has very competitive pay. We have paid personal days. We have paid company holidays. It says 10 right here, but they actually just added one more. So now we have Martin Luther King Day off as well. We also provide subsidized housing and travel pay from when you leave school and you come to Eastman, and then when you leave Eastman and go back to school. And I want to say it's about 53 cents on the mile. So it's a nice little chunk of change that you get back. And also we have scholarship opportunities as long as your GPA is above a 3.25. And also being an intern or a co-op, it gives you a better chance of being hired on at Eastman. So here's kind of the role differences for the entry-level EE, so kind of what I came in as. So I told you plant engineer is very wide and broad. We work on a lot of different things. We're kind of first to the line of everything. So, you know, every day is something different. I could be at the office and 80% of the time I'm out in the field, 20% of the time I'm at the office, or it's vice versa of that. And process engineer, this is more of a narrow-minded kind of type thing. So it's more specialized. So if I like to kind of relate it to, you know, plant engineers are a general practitioner, and then process engineers are a cardiologist. So they're very specialized in one area. So this could be our control systems group, our power group, and they're really there to help solve big picture things. So they work on very big projects. So, you know, they maybe work on 10 projects a year, but they're very big compared to plant engineering, where I can get 100 projects done in a year. So kind of what electrical engineering at Eastman looks like, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that chemical companies have electrical engineering work. We work on AC and DC motors. We work on controls, drives, inverters. So the controls and automation I talked about is PLCs and DCSs. So PLCs are programmable logic controllers, and DCSs are distributed control systems. So basically, these are the computers that we program to automate all of our systems. So it's automating all of our pumps turning on and off. It's automating all of our valves turning on or off. It's controlling valves, controlling different flows. It's reading temperatures from temperature transmitters, pressure transmitters. So there's actually a lot of programming that has to go on. We work with grounding and different types of power. So we work with high voltage, medium voltage, and low voltage. Eastman actually has its own power plant. A lot of people are like, well, I want to go work for a power company. Well, Eastman basically is its own power company. We produce enough power to power the city of Knoxville. So to kind of give you a comparison, that's almost the same size as Raleigh. So we're producing megawatts of power. So, you know, when I try to talk to people, well, I just want to talk to someone who does power. Well, Eastman produces most of its own power. We have coal and natural gas. We have different types of boilers that we use there. And like I mentioned earlier, instrumentation, and then just kind of miscellaneous things you'd be working on, lighting, heat tracing. The one big thing that I love about Eastman is the opportunities that we have as engineers. So just because you come in as an engineer at Eastman doesn't mean that's what you stay as. You can go into project management, you can go into plant protection, technical services, you can actually go into operations. We have a few electrical engineers now that are taking the role of staff engineer. So that's usually a role that chemical engineers take. So it's usually the role that oversees what operations is doing, what changes we should make to our process. One of my really good friends actually just took a global procurement manager position. So he's now overseeing a $300 million project, and he's looking at speccing out all the pieces of equipment that are going there and the instrumentation that we're using. So just because you go into engineering doesn't mean you have to stay into engineering. And I love the fact that Eastman has so many opportunities that's available to you. So I would kind of love to be able to have people ask me questions about the opportunities, and things that we have at Eastman, So that's kind of what I have for our slides today. So like I said, any questions?
Awesome. Well, thank you. Let's see. So I have, that's great. Do you want to talk about some opportunities?
Do I? Yeah, I can definitely talk about different opportunities that we have. Yeah. So currently, we did just do kind of our looking into full-time positions. So the entry-level positions that we look for, like I said, are plant engineers. So plant engineers, which I already told you, is just kind of a general overview of looking at Eastman. We also have now a rotational program that we're really trying to take engineers up on. So what you would do is you would either come in at Longview, Texas, or Kingsport, Tennessee, and you'd be a plant engineer for about a year to a year and a half. And then we would probably move you to a role over in business. And then we would actually move you to a sister site of ours, so it's a much smaller site. So at Kingsport, in plant engineering, there's probably around 300, 500 engineers that we have. So you have lots of community to bounce off of. Well, when you go to one of these little sister plants that we have, there's maybe 3 engineers there. So they're in need of help and wanting people. So we're really trying to train people to see if they can do that. At Eastman, we actually offer an onboarding program that's called OBD2. So that's our training program of 2 years. So basically what we're trying to do is fit 3 to 5 years of knowledge into 2 years. And we do this by offering different training courses. We actually go to a place called RCAM, which is where all our electricians and mechanics go. So they're the ones that work on all the equipment on a day-to-day basis. So you can actually get your hands dirty, as I like to say. You can build valves, work with pressure transmitters, work with different Coriolis meters, take them apart, build them, so you can really understand how that piece of equipment works. We work with different controls, so PLC programming classes. So Eastman really offers a lot of different training tools to make you the best engineer that you are. Also, we're looking for control systems engineers. So we're looking for people who want to do programming. So when I say programming, it's not what you do at NC State. So it's not C+ programming, not C, it's not Java. It's more function block programming. So using PID loops in there, using adder functions. And, these blocks, we use kind of a program, we use RS Logic. So it's working with Allen Bradley PLCs. So you're kind of programming how you read inputs, how you read analog inputs, what I need to talk to. Other program we have is HMI screens, so programming touch screens at Eastman. And so that's kind of what Eastman is looking for as of right now. We really try to steer towards plant engineering because you get to see a little bit of everything and get your hands a little bit of everything, and then you can branch off to where you'd like to go.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about your time at NC State. If you want to talk about your internship that you had, your co-op you had, and how your experiences at NC State and the ECE program prepared you for those and for your position now at Eastman.
Yeah, sure thing. So I first started out as a co-op at Crenshaw Consulting Engineer. So kind of I did commercial power design. So what that is, I would get a blueprint of a layout of a building, and then I would lay out all of the receptacles, all the lighting panels, control panels that went there, fire alarms. So I was doing electrical codes for lighting that was in there. So looking at how many lumens were in a room at a time and designing how all the wiring went back to the lighting panel. There, I also worked with a little bit of HVAC. design that was there. So, you know, a lot of times what we'd do is we'd get a blueprint of a building. We'd walk out to the building, verify, okay, hey, this light is on this blueprint. That's where it is. It calls out what type of fixture it is. So it's a parabolic fixture. Okay, yes, it's a parabolic fixture. This is correct. If the blueprint was messed up, then we would update it and we would send it back to the people who sent us the blueprint. And that's kind of what I did at Crenshaw for 4 rotations. Then the internship that I took was at a place called Potash Corp Aurora. So it is actually an above ground mine that worked with different types of chemicals that went in fertilizer. So this is really where I got manufacturing experience and working in the industry. At Crenshaw, it was really behind my desk 90% of the time, 10% of field work. But at Potash, I was mostly in the field about 80% of the time. So my key project there was actually looking at the arc flash study there. So arc flash is basically a short that can happen in a circuit, provides energy that can blast out at you. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen that or knows what an arc flash is, but basically it's kind of a short happens in your electrical circuit. And when that short happens, basically an explosion happens. So I'm trying to make sure all of our ratings are correct to drive our arc flash down. So what I was verifying wires, circuit breaker settings, fuse size settings. I was verifying all these things at Potash and putting them into a design system called SKM that looked at all these different arc flash studies there. So that was kind of my roles as an intern or co-op. And so as you see, I'm now in the industry still, so I really enjoy manufacturing because you got to be out in the field all the time, and I love being able to work with people out in the field. That's something I enjoy. I don't like being stuck behind a desk. So that was that. As of NC State preparing me, you know, they try to give you, I guess one of the biggest things that I thought helped me was some of the classes there, especially ECE 305 and learning about power. That's something that I use every single day, knowing how 480 volt power works, 120 volt power works, you know, control systems. I think it's ECE 308, if I remember correctly, as being a student there. But that really helps with understanding how PIDs work, how proportional, integral, and derivatives go into a control schematic. It's very interesting to know how that works because we have to use PID loops all the time to control different sorts of temperatures, different sorts of pressures that we need to achieve on our equipment. And also just, you know, there was great department heads at the ECE and kind of helping to push you in the right direction that you want to go into.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. When you were a student, were you involved in any student organizations?
The only organization that I was actually involved in, and it's kind of funny to talk about it now, is I was in the NC State club paintball team that was at Eastman, or at NC State. So I really enjoyed playing it, and we actually won a national championship for NC State in that. We traveled all across the U.S., and we traveled to Florida. It's actually Kissimmee, Florida is where we went to, and we won a national championship. We then went on to a Class A division they had there, and we were broadcast on national television. So that was kind of the one role that I took. But now, you know, seeing all the candidates now that come from NC State, and I wish I really would have took advantage of some more of the organizations, like the honors fraternities they have, the IEEE, and what they have to offer you. I would take more advantage of those things.
Well, it sounds like you had your hands full with your co-op and your so I'm not going to hold it against you, but it is important to be involved in the university just as much as you are, you know, with ECE, or one could be with ECE, and you have to have hobbies too. It helps. Okay, so what were some adjustments? So after you graduated and started full-time at Eastman, what were some adjustments you found that you weren't expecting?
Oh, so I moved away from Raleigh. A lot of times I see is when people are in Raleigh, they want to stay in Raleigh. And it's hard to move away from Raleigh. I miss Raleigh and I love Raleigh, but actually moving to a place that I knew nobody. So I really had to figure that out, and kind of putting myself out there and talking with people. As we all know, a lot of engineers can be very introverted, but there's a lot of engineers that are extroverted as well, but primarily introverted. So kind of putting yourself out there to find a network to be able to talk to, that was a really hard thing to adjust to, you know, just having myself there at first. And I guess the next biggest thing is, I guess that's from a outside of work standpoint, but inside of work standpoint is knowing that it's okay to make a mistake. You know, you coming in from college, we're not expecting you to know everything and how everything works. Like, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to mess something up, and that's okay. That was the biggest and hardest adjustment, because you really want to like give this really good impression to all of your coworkers that you're working really well and you understand things, but that's not how it is. We want people to ask questions. We want you to make mistakes, because that's the only way you're going to learn. If you don't make any mistakes, you're in the wrong place.
That's a very good piece of advice. Well, talking about advice, looking back as you were a student, what would you tell yourself? What's one piece of advice you would give yourself? And if you had to do it all again, what, if you would, is there anything that you would change about your experience?
So I guess the biggest piece of advice that I actually got was from, and I would still give, is from the co-op office at NC State. Her name was Pam Florienzia. She gave me advice. She said, no matter what level you are, so if you're a freshman, sophomore, you need to put yourself out there. You have to network, because, you know, it's okay to hear no from a company. I can't tell you how many times I actually heard no from a company until finally I got yes from Crenshaw Consulting. You know, I went to ABBs, I went to GEs, I went to Duke, and it wasn't that I had bad grades or anything like that. It was just, you know, a lot of times people don't want to see, people see that you don't have any experience, they're more likely not to hire you. But what's really good is getting that face-to-face time, because I've had people last year I interviewed with for Eastman. They came back this year to talk with me, and we love seeing that. We really love seeing people come back to back. I mean, we have people, even Purdue candidates that I've interviewed as well, that they're coming back year after year, and we love to see that. And we love to see what you've changed, what you've done, what you've added to your skill set. Anything that I could have done differently, I kind of wish I would have chose a different co-op. So NC State, I feel, really does a really good job of pushing their students into a co-op, but I wouldn't choose the co-op I did, because I was stuck in one field. It was doing the same thing over and over again. I would only choose a co-op now that offered a multitude of different things. So, for example, if you were to co-op at Eastman, you know, you could come in as a plant engineer. It's kind of where everyone starts at. Well, okay, if you're interested in controls, next rotation we'll do controls. Well, if you're interested in business after that, we'll put you in business. So I wish I would have taken a place, or I would have, I guess, hired on a different co-op where I had more opportunities to see what it's like to work in the industry.
Yeah, you came with great advice today, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So you talked a little bit about before the biggest adjustment being just moving away from Raleigh. What networking advice? I'm sure you had to do a lot of networking when you found yourself in a new city. So do you have any specific networking advice? Like, how did you find a new group professionally, but you can also talk personally?
Oh, okay. So just for my professional advice, so I actually joined a thing called Eastman Professional Development Club, new, which is actually for new hires of 2 years and less. So it's an organization that I went to coordinate events. So this could have been just cookouts at Eastman, or this could have been scheduling a speaker to come and talk. So kind of an example, I had our VP of HR give a talk about, you know, what does it look like? What does Eastman look like 5 years from now, hiring people to our new employees, so we can kind of see what that is. So scheduling those events and just being FaceTime with those people, that's kind of what I took advantage of. But me personally, on a level, I personally like to talk to everybody. So when people are like, you need to talk to this person, I would just give that person a phone call instead of emailing them. I think, you know, having a line of communication other than email and actually going and seeing that person or calling that person is way more beneficial to a new employee that comes into the workplace. And I just was never afraid to ask questions. you know, we want people that are going to ask questions, you know, because you're not going to know everything. So I say, ask a lot of questions and make a lot of phone calls. That's what I would do.
So 2 more questions. What do you look for in a candidate when hiring new graduates? And someone specifically asked when you're looking for
I saw that.
Co-op applicants.
Yeah. So kind of what, you know, there's lots of different things, but we love to see people in student organizations. You know, we love people that just aren't doing academics. You know, what are you doing outside of school as well? And we love people with initiative. So, you know, it's a big thing that I said, you know, you want to make the most of your experience. We want people to come in and just be like, I want to soak in as much as I can. We want you to be a dry sponge to begin with, and then just fill with all this knowledge after. So, you know, I've had the opportunity now at Eastman. I've mentored 4 interns / co-ops and 3 new hires. And, you know, we've had a pretty good rate of hiring those interns and co-ops that have come, that I've been able to mentor. And basically, they all had the same thing. It was, they wanted to know, like, hey, you know, what's out in the field? You know, show me this, show me that. You know, they weren't just sitting at their desk, because we've seen a few people that just sit at their desk and don't want to do anything or learn anything. You know, my co-op, he was wanting to learn about my area. He wanted to go into a different area. He's trying to set meetings up with people in power. So people that just want to have the initiative to go out and explore, that's kind of a big thing that we look for, right? I mean, most of the applicants that we interview, you know, if you're in ECE and your GPA is above a 3, you know, we know that you're very smart. But, you know, what sets you apart is the initiative portion of it.
Awesome. Thank you. Last question, last but not least, any final advice you would give anyone interested in Eastman, anyone getting ready to graduate, going on interviews, just trying to get through, you know, school virtually? Any last?
Okay. So I guess, like I said, one big thing I was saying earlier is don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know, we're not expecting you to know everything as soon as you come in. That's why we have training programs for anything. And just as an electrical engineer, you know, just because you hear chemical, that doesn't mean it's not an electrical facility. For some reason, I guess chemical facilities have a really hard time of reaching electrical engineers, which I guess I find it very sad, because there's a lot of opportunities that you have. You know, some people might want to do PCB design, so Eastman doesn't have that to offer, but learning about general power, control systems, how things are automated, those things, we have more than enough to offer. I mean, if you think about this, I think, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure NC State's main campus, just main campus, is around 750 to 800 acres. The Eastman main site in Kingsport is 900 acres. So there's a lot of opportunity to do things at Eastman. And other things, don't narrow mind yourself. You know, if you're going in, you know, I was once a student, and, you know, I thought I just wanted to do power. That's what I wanted to do. Well, ends up, power is not one of my favorite things at all. You know, I would try to learn as much as you can. You know, I feel like a lot of times when we see students with different internships, or a co-op at one place, an internship at another place, you know, it kind of gives them an idea. Hey, I've seen this side and I've seen this side, and I really want this side now. Just to kind of be like open-minded to different things. Don't be so narrow-minded.
Awesome. Well, thank you for meeting with us today and talking with everyone. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your time, and Eastman being a corporate partner of ours. So thank you. Those were all the questions I had, unless there was anything else you wanted to touch on. I know you gave your advice, but
yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer some more questions. If they want to, you can find me on LinkedIn, Chris Frazee. You can do that, or you can email me if you'd like to. I'm always, you know, anytime I even interview candidates, I always give them my email. So if they ever want professional advice or any schooling advice, you know, I was once a student, and I understand it's like holy moly, like what I'm about to do with my life. Like I'm about to leave school and I'm about to be in the big boy world or the big girl world now. And I've got no clue what to do. So, you know, I'm always willing to try to help people or talk people or help steer them into a direction they'd like to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And yeah, we'll make sure that we have your contact information
Okay.
that people can reach out to you directly on LinkedIn or email. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Enjoy